Hello friends, welcome to UPSC Logics and my name is Siddharth and today I am going to discuss the Carnatic Wars. So in this video we shall have a look at the first war, the second war and the third war. And the first war occurred between 1745 and 48. Then the second war happened between 49 and 54. And the third war between 1758 and 63. So what were the Carnatic Wars? These were a series of military conflicts that happened in the middle of the 18th century, and these conflicts involved a number of independent rulers that struggled for succession and territory, and this also involved a diplomatic and military struggle between the French East India Company and the British East India Company. So these wars were basically fought on territories in India that were dominated by the Nizam of Hyderabad up to the Godavari Delta. And as a result of these military contests, the British East India Company established its dominance among the European trading companies within India, and the French company was pushed to a corner and was confined primarily to Pondicherry. So the East India Company's dominance eventually grew, and the British East India Company took over most of India and eventually established the British Raj. So that is why these Carnatic Wars become important, as these were the wars that led the French to go out of India and the British dominance was established in India. So let us have a look at the first Carnatic War. And although the war was fought between 1745 and 48, the reasons for this war lead back to 1740 when the War of Austrian Succession broke out in Europe. So Great Britain was drawn into this war in 1744, and this was opposed to France and its allies. Till this time, the trading companies of both the countries had maintained very cordial relationships in India, and although the French were told not to engage with the British, it was the British who were told that the Royal Navy was en route. So in 1745, the English Navy under Barnett captured a few French merchant vessels, and this led to growing tensions in the region. So the French called up for backup from as far as Isle de France, which is now Mauritius, and there was an indecisive battle fought between the French commander La Bourdonnais and British Admiral Edward Peyton off the coast of Negapattam, after which the British withdrew to Bengal. And in 1746, the French retaliated under Duplessis and captured the port of Madras, which was an English outpost, and after which the English appealed to the Carnatic Nawab Anwaruddin to save them from the French and secure the release of Madras from the French. So the French refused under Duplessis again, refused to obey the Nawab, and there was a battle between the forces of the Nawab, which amounted to almost 10,000 men, and the French around 1,000 at Saint Thome. And this resulted in a severe defeat of the Nawab that exposed the weakness of traditional Indian armies against the European trained armies. And this particular war ended with the termination of War of Succession in Europe, and it was done through the Treaty of Aix-la-Chapelle or Aix-la-Chapelle in 1748. So Madras was given back to the British in exchange of French fortress of Louisbourg in North America, which the British had captured. And the war is principally notable in India as it was the first military experience of Robert Clive, who was taken prisoner at Madras but managed to escape, and who then participated in the defense of Cuddalore and the siege of Pondicherry. Now let us have a look at the Second Carnatic War, and this occurred between 1749 and 54. So this particular war was all about who is the kingmaker or who will play the kingmaker. So there was a war of succession going on in Hyderabad and Carnatic, and the French supported Muzaffar Jung and Chanda Sahib, and the English supported their opponents, which were Nasir Jung in Hyderabad and Anwaruddin and later his son Muhammad Ali in the Carnatic. So the French were able to murder both Nasir Jung and Anwaruddin and were able to place Muzaffar Jung and Chanda Sahib in Hyderabad and Carnatic respectively. So in 1751, Arcot was captured by the English under Robert Clive, and they were able to successfully defend it. In 1752, Chanda Sahib was captured and executed, and he was killed by a general of Tanjore who was an ally of the British. And the British were successfully able to place Muhammad Ali on the throne of Karnataka, or proclaim him as the Nawab of Karnataka. So this particular war ended with the Treaty of Pondicherry, and after which in 1753-54 Dupleix was recalled by the French government and Bussy took his place, who was ordered to retain the French position at Hyderabad. So this particular war was basically all about who will play the kingmaker in the Carnatic region, and therefore this led to the little bit of skirmishes between the French and the English that are termed as the Second Carnatic War. Now let us have a look at the Third Carnatic War that resulted from 1758 to 63. So this particular war started with the outbreak of the Seven-Year War in Europe in 1756. So there are a number of events that marked this particular Third Carnatic War and end of French ambitions in India. Number one was that Chandnagar, which was a French settlement in Bengal, was captured by Robert Clive and Watson. Then in 1758, Count de Lally was sent by the French to retrieve the French position in India. In 1759, the French fleet under D'Arc was defeated by the English navy under Pocock, after which D'Arc was also recalled back to France. In 1760, Count de Lally was defeated by an English general Ayacout in the Battle of Vendy Wash on 22nd of January. In March, the French were replaced by the English as Nizam's protectors. In 1761, Pondicherry was surrendered to the English, and thereby a number of settlements were lost to the French as well. The war was ended in 1763, and this was concluded by the Treaty of Paris, and Chandnagar was returned back to the French, where they were allowed to build factories, but they were not allowed to administer them. So this ended the Third Carnatic War and the French ambitions in India, and this led to establishment of the British as the paramount power in India. So friends, this brings us to the end of this particular video on the Carnatic Wars, and we have seen that the Carnatic Wars led to the ending of the French ambition in India and the establishment of British supremacy in India, and therefore these wars become important. So these particular wars should not be confused with the Mysore wars, and Carnatic wars are different to those of the Mysore wars. In fact, Carnatic wars were fought between the English and the French, while the Mysore wars were fought between Mysore and the English. So this needs to be remembered while answering questions in the exams. And thank you so much for watching, and do like and subscribe to the channel if you are watching it for the first time, and don't forget to press the bell icon to get the latest notifications from UPSC Logics. So thank you so much once again, and Jai Hind.